My son's a pastor. And he's an incredible pastor. I mean, he's one of the best pastors I know, and
Wow.
he has a great family, and he's got stuff in balance. And so, I mean, God just was very kind and actually redeemed that. But that was one of those shocking moments of just, okay, because you want your girls to say, I want to marry a man just like you. And you want your kids to say, gosh, I'd like to be like you when I grow up. And to have your son say, the last thing I want to be when I grow up is my dad. That was just incredibly painful. And that led to some massive changes in my life. And I eventually resigned the church because, and it's a long story, but that was a huge part of that story of, okay, I have to get some help. I have to get some help because everybody thinks my front stage looks great. And so they assume things about my backstage. Those were bad assumptions because my backstage was a huge mess. And I think that that's a big mistake that we make with pastors is we see, well, things look great. I'm sure that things are great on the backstage. And so that just drives me crazy, that we stop off at the conference. Oh, I heard this speaker. I love him. He was amazing. His talk was so good. It's like,
I wish he was my pastor.
I love the fact that his talk was so good, but you love him. He's amazing. What do you know about him? Do you know anything about him? Do you know anything about his marriage? Do you know how he treats his kids? Do you know anything about his finances? No, I just made all of these assumptions because he's a really great speaker. That's a bad thing to do. So
would you unpack that terminology a little bit? The front stage, backstage, people might be thinking theater or whatever, thinking ministry. A little more in detail on that. What are the components of the front stage that everybody sees? And what are the components of the backstage that maybe people are less aware of? Could you unpack that a little bit more?
Yeah, so this whole thing actually started because there was this place I used to love to see big shows and plays and such. In this really, really nice theater. And I was always like, this theater is absolutely incredible. This is the nicest theater I've ever been in my life. It's just unbelievable. And then there was one time I was asked to help to do a show. I was not singing or acting or dancing. I was like the MC of a show. But that got me backstage. I'll never forget. It was the darkest, dungiest, messiest, most horrific backstage. I'm just in shock going, oh my word, this backstage is like, it's a mess. And I mean, it was just so bad. And I just thought, wow, I just made assumptions that it would have this gorgeous backstage because it had this gorgeous front stage. And I thought, that's a lot like life. Because I think our front stage is how we present ourselves, and I'm looking at church, it's going to be the way your church looks on the outside and the way that you're just perceived as a speaker, and it might be the worship, it might be the children's ministry. People just say, wow, this is a phenomenal church. And so we have a backstage of our lives, and that's very, very much our soul. That's our marriage, that's our walk with Jesus. It's the way we treat people, it's the way that we actually think about things. It's things just about humility and such. And so I think that we make assumptions and we say, well, this is an incredible place. This is an amazing church. This person has written books. Everything must be really put together in their life, and that's a bad assumption. So anyway, so I think that there's just a lot of those pastors at their front stage and their backstage, oftentimes they just don't match. But there's just that fear of, I can't be honest with you, I can't be open, because if you really knew me, you wouldn't like me. And I think that Satan has a very small toolbox. I think he has a very, very small toolbox, but his main tool is very effective. His main tool is he whispers lies into our ears, and we oftentimes believe those lies. And one of the main lies is, don't be honest with anybody, because if they get to know you, they won't like you. Therefore, keep all of your secrets. You know what? Just really stay isolated, and you'll be fine. That's such a huge lie from Satan.
Such a trap.
It is a huge trap. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I read your book.
Thank you. You and my mom. I appreciate that. So thank you.
It was excellent. And you talked about the 6 relationships.
Yes.
That every pastor, every leader, actually probably every person needs. Could you kind of describe those for us?
Yeah. So we strongly believe that pastors that we have found that are thriving, they have a boss, trainer, coach, counselor, and then a mentor, and then just a good friend. So a boss is important because a boss can be a champion, and everybody needs a champion. Yes. Everybody needs to know there's someone that is for you. They have your back. They want the very, very best for you. And they have some type of a role in their life where they can help you to actually enjoy things like vacations and rest. And so we just believe it's very important to have a boss. It's very, very key just to be trained in life. So just the fact you have a heart to learn and to grow. So you go to events and conferences and listen to podcasts like this.
Right.
So just the fact that you're speaking now, John, you can be a trainer to a lot of people. And then a coach is very, 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 very much, these are very, very important conversations that are actually intentional, where you speak about not just the front stage, but actually also the backstage.
Yeah.
So you're asking questions about their church and their marriage and their family and their spouse and their staff, but you press deep into their soul. And those are very intentional conversations. So it's not just hey, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? Well, you know what, I have a coach. No, that's a friend. That's
Right.
extremely important. And then a counselor is important because because life is hard.
It is.
And there's times you have to press into things and not things you might create. There's cancer, there's accidents in life, there's tragedy in life. And it's just important to be able to go through and just process those things. We think it's extremely important to have a counselor. And then a mentor is one that just might be a bit actually can kind of see the big things in life and can kind of help you through, like that labyrinth of life, and they can see some big things. And then just really good friends who know everything about you.
Yeah.
Everything about you. And the thing that breaks our heart is we speak with a lot of pastors who say, well, you know what, it's a staff-led church, and so I'm the boss. I don't have a trainer because I'm kind of the trainer, and I just don't have time to read books and podcasts because I have so much to do as a pastor. I don't have a coach because I think that I would need to have somebody that was way ahead of me, and I really can't see that. And I don't go to counseling because I think it's a waste of time. I used to have a mentor, but we lost touch years ago. And if I'm completely honest with you, I really don't have anybody that knows all of my secrets. I really don't have any really true close friends. And it's just okay, you know what, you will fall. It's not a matter of if,
It's a train
when.
wreck.
Exactly.
Ready to
That's a
happen.
train wreck that's just on its way. And those things are frightening. So,
Tell us a little bit about your transition from pastoral ministry, where your son's talking to his grandfather.
Right.
And then he talks to you, and then you transition to what's next. Tell us a little bit about that journey, what it's been like, what you've been doing since.
yeah, well, it's been a ride, that's for sure. So we just have a real sense that we need to just pastor pastors, and that's a long story, and we can do that on this other episode, John. But anyway, so there's a real sense that we need to pastor pastors, and so we started Pastor Serve in 1999,
Okay.
and we just kind of bounced along for about two years, and then there were 4 phenomenal businessmen that just had a huge passion and a big vision, and said, we think that God wants this to be a lot bigger. And so we began to grow the staff and expand the staff, and we made a very strong commitment at the very start. Very strong commitment. We will serve the whole church. We will serve the whole church, which means we're not going to be a white male suburban pastor's ministry. We're going to serve the churches in the urban core. We're going to serve the church if it's led by a woman. We're going to serve the African American church, the Hispanic church, the Asian church, the Haitian church, and that's been a very strong commitment. Listen, there's been a very significant cost to that.
Sure.
Which means, so there are those groups that we help and they can pay, and we're always very grateful for that. And there's groups that we help and they can't pay, and we still help them because we feel called to serve the whole church.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 with Jimmy Dodd. Make sure to tune in on Friday for the conclusion with Jimmy.